Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Augusto Argandoña Fine Arts. Anytime in this narrated tutorial, you can click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to learn about my virtual classes or want to see my paintings, you may do so in my website at aafinearts.com. This tutorial is about painting a tropical setting with watercolors. This particular image is one I took in one of my research trips to one of the islands here in our area on the Gulf of Mexico. What caught my attention about this is this old Florida style house that looked like it was smaller, but over the years there were some additions made, especially this nice, very large porch or lanai. And the house was pretty much all by itself on this little point by the water. They had not too much landscaping, it was fairly natural type foliage and landscaping. But the setting was really beautiful with all the palm trees in the background. So that's what I'm going to do. And try to, in my painting, portray the old look of this house and the setting. So without much ado, let's go ahead and do the fun part of this tutorial, and that's the painting part. I'll get myself situated here, raise my chair in my studio, and go ahead and do the painting. Got some paper towels here, and I'm going to do this, make it look very sunny. This image was when I was there, it was very sunny, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by wetting the upper portion of the paper for the sky and go over the areas where the trees will be, and just put quite a bit of water in that area. A little bit more here, like that. And now I'm going to bring in, like I said, it was very sunny look. I'm going to bring in some cobalt blue by itself, and start laying in some of the color for the sky, leaving some white areas for the clouds, like that. Just like that, not much more than that. I'm also going to bring in some manganese blue in some areas, especially over here, just to give a little bit more variety to the blues in the sky. Bring that here, a little bit on this corner too, a little bit more, like I said, variety, like that. And that's pretty much it. Also, I'm going to make a mixture of the cobalt blue with a touch of sepia to make sort of a gray tone for some of the lower areas of some of these clouds, like that. All these clouds always have a little bit of gray in them, so that's about it. I'm going to let that dry, and while that's drying, I'm going to bring a little bit of manganese that's on my palette with the gray, and I'm gonna go ahead and do this, the water here, and missing, I'm gonna leave that edges of that boat white. There was a boat there by on the other side of this house. There, like that. All right, I'm gonna let that dry. And also, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna wet this area a little bit, not too much. I'm not touching that area because I don't want the colors to bleed into the water area. Just wet the lower area a little bit. And I'm going to use a combination of yellow ochre, aureolin yellow, and a little bit of cerulean blue to get some of the grassy areas, the green portion of this foreground. I'm going to bring in, change from yellow ochre to raw sienna, and bring some of that too. Some of these grasses were not necessarily green all the way. It was some yellow. There was some, I'm gonna bring that over here too. There was some dirt showing, sand. You know, we don't have dirt in Florida, sand. And then, like I said earlier, at the beginning of this tutorial, this area was it's not landscaped. It's kind of natural looking. So that's what I'm using this color. I'm going to add a little bit of brown, burnt umber in these areas over here, like that, not too much, there. And now I'm going to bring in a little bit of undersea green with that brown, especially the raw sienna. Makes a nice little warm green. It's a little bit on the dull side, but that's what I wanted here. Like I said, this is not manicure long, so that one will give it that look. Kind of a wild, if you will, type look. There we are. Now I'm going to leave it like that. I'm also going to bring in a little bit more of the raw, the undersea green, almost with a dry brush, with the burnt umber. Give a couple more strokes over here like that, just to give it a little bit more variety. There we are. I'm gonna let that dry. And while that's drying, my sky is also drying. I don't want to do the foliage yet. I'm going to go ahead and start painting the house. For that, I'm going to use a flat brush. Like I said, this was a very sunny look, sunny scene, so that metal roof is going to be pretty much almost white in some areas. So I'm going to get some ultramarine blue and sepia, make a gray. And with that, let's see, this was sun was, let's see, yeah, the sun was coming from the right. So this side of the roof will be, I will have the gray, not as dark as that, but it will be gray here. Like that. Same thing over here. And this side will be pretty much just white. like I said, this little house was, I would think that the main house was this section up into this area, and this is a new roof, and this is a new roof, and this is, all of this was added to it. That's my guess. I'm also going to bring a little bit of the cobalt and do this area here, like that. There. Okay, the house was white, so what I'm gonna do though, the only wall here is this little triangle section here and this wall. So I'm gonna bring a little bit of water here, go over that overhang on that window. And I'm also gonna bring in a little bit of the manganese glue over here in this area. And I'm gonna bring in some burnt sienna, especially in the lower area, like that. Not too much, kind of just barely add a little bit of the color there. Also gonna bring in some ultramarine blue, very light, especially in this area. Like that. And a little bit of rose madder. Like that. Now I'm gonna blend all these colors. Like that, there. I'm gonna go back to them a little later. Then, before I go any further, I'm gonna take a small brush and do some of the greenery that's hugging those walls. I'm gonna use the rose sienna, the aureole in yellow, and a little bit of permanent sub green. This is a little nice little bush over here, like that. A little bit more of the rose sienna. Come over here, leave some areas white to show the sun hitting some of the leaves and this foliage. There, like that. I'm going to bring a little bit more of the green, the permanent sub green, some areas. Like that. It's a really nice setting. It was a really beautiful setting, actually. I'm gonna bring in some undersea green too in the area with the ultramarine blue. Start cooling down some of these areas that are on the shadow side of this bush. Like that. Over here too. There. The lower area of these bushes here. A little bit more ultramarine with undersea green. That wall is dry now, so I'm going to do this like that. Now I'm going to change to a little bit of burnt umber with that green, and paints gray, and do some of the darker areas. Like that. The same thing over here. There, that's pretty much it. Let's see this. Okay, this is dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna change brushes to a larger round brush. I'm gonna use the burnt umber with the undersea green and a little bit of cobalt blue this time, and do the distant green for some of the distant foliage, outlining that portion of the house. A little bit more water in my brush. There. Get some outlines for some of the palms and so forth that are into the distance. And go over the trunk like that. Bring a little bit more of those colors and a little bit more of the green. Like that. A little bit more of the brown. And the green. I'm going to start darkening some of these colors now. Be like that. Come over here. Go on the side of that palm trunk and come down here right to the edge of the water. And all of this will be pretty much just a solid area of color. Not much this distinction there. And continue this over here on the other side of this house. There, like that. Now I'm going to continue with those colors, the undersea green. I'm going to bring in some raw sienna this time. And come over here, do a little bit warmer on some of the details of the palm trees, like that. And we start increasing the value of those colors. Again, still keeping it nice and warm. A little darker here. Go to the edge of that roof there, like that. There we are. There. And now I'm going to change, I'm going to bring a little bit more of the undersea green, this time with ultramarine blue. Start toning down some of this green. Now that structure is beginning to come alive, just by virtue of having this darker green in the background, like that. Also, I'm going to bring in some of the burnt umber with the undersea green. A little bit of different variation here. like that. More of the undersea green, this time with the raw sienna. And I'm gonna introduce Payne's gray. Start making this much darker over here and also cooler. And that, all these varieties of greens make a really, really beautiful transitions of color, especially in this darker area. Adding a little bit of the textures too. The next layer of greens is coming over here, like that. And then we come down here, like this. And that building is pretty much blocked already with all these greens, nice greens. Come down over here. Straighten this roof line. And like that. Get all those greens there. That layer. Come over here. There we are. Now that building is nicely blocked. Come down over here to this bush that's in front. And also I'm going to bring in the burnt umber with the permanent subgreen and some cobalt blue to tone down some of this greenery that's in the distance. I'm going to make it a little much lighter. There, like that. Kind of blend it right into the greenery that's in front, like that. Okay, so now I'm going to bring a little bit more water on my brush and combine all of this like that. Bring a little bit more of the Payne's gray, tone it down for this foliage that's on this side of the house. It's almost in the shade. And minimize the amount of detail here. There, like that. Okay. Now, while that's drying, I'm going to change brushes to a smaller round brush. Get some brown matter, a little bit of the cobalt blue, and do the trunks for these palm trees. Like that. A little bit of brown sienna to that, not too much. Bring another trunk over here. Like that. Some over here. Over here. Get some sepia also. And darken some of these areas. Like that. Okay. And now I'll get my round brush again. Get some aureolin yellow with the undersea green and ultramarine blue and start doing some of these palm trees. These are coconut palms. Like that. Maybe some of the permanent sap green with the ultramarine blue, and I can use some of the burnt umber. More ultramarine blue, make this a little darker. There we are. Yeah. A little bit of new gambos into that mixture to warm them up a little bit more. These palm trees are swaying in the breeze, so have to make them look that way. Some of the dark areas too. Yeah, like that. That's the way they look like when they're in the breeze. They're not like the palm trees you see at Disney World. These are more wild type palm trees. Bring some sepia there too. There's more of these palm trees over here. Like that. There we are. A little bit more of the yellow. There we are, here we are. Same thing over here. Like I said, these palm trees are swaying in the breeze. So I'm not trying to make them look trimmed or anything like that. Some areas are darker. There was a lot of coconut palm trees there. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so now I'm gonna also bring a little bit more of the sepia. Mix with this undersea green for some of the shadow side of these palm trees, the dark side. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. While that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and undo everything that's inside the house. But before I do that, I'm gonna get my round brush, pick up some ultramarine blue mixed with this gray that I have in my palette, and I'm gonna go ahead and do this roof, metal roof. Had a partition there. There we are. Yeah, like that. Same thing over here. Like that. I'm going to get a little bit of the lighter section of that gray and this one. On this side you can see some of the partitions for the metal roof too, but not too much. Yeah, like that. And I'm getting my flat brush again and add a little bit more blue to that roof on the shadow side. Yeah, that's good. There we are. Okay, now we'll do that porch. And for that porch, I'm gonna use my flat brush. I'm gonna make a nice combination of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Mostly the burnt sienna starts that way. Like this. There was a thick post there in the corner. There. There we are. Leave a little bit white around that tree, that bush. There's another thicker post over here. There. Now we're gonna bring in some of the ultramarine blue into that mixture. This is gonna be much lighter. So this is gonna be darker. Like that. There, like that. Yeah, it's really nice porch there. We'll bring some burnt umber, clean burnt umber here. There, like that. Especially over here. I'm gonna try to do it just a little bit over here, like that. I'm gonna let that dry. Well, that's drying. Get my smaller brush, pick up some sepia, mix it with this gray that I have. Now do this window. A little bit more water in my brush. There. I'll go back to that later. Do this little window over here. And I'm also gonna do that little awning, which was a little bit of a kind of a teal color with a little bit of raw sienna mixed there. Here we are, that's color. There we are. Now I'm gonna bring in some sepia, a little bit more sepia and ultramarine, and darken this window with that partition in the middle. There. Also, darken this area here, a shadow from that overhang. Same thing here. but this is going to be much deeper, or lower rather. Same thing here. Like that. Okay. I need to darken some of this screen. Like that. There. There we are. And this corner be darker. I'm gonna let that there like that. There also like that. And while I have that dark color, I'm gonna bring some cobalt blue mixed with that gray and darken this wall. There we are. And do a little bit of the detailing here with this roof. And a little bit of a warm tone for this eave. Like that. I'm gonna get some of my flat brush again. A little bit of some of the green and burnt sienna for this lower area, reflective color from that green in front. I'm gonna bring a little bit of the blue and reflective color from that awning and the sky there, like that. That's good. And a little bit of cobalt blue. I'll do a little bit of reflective color from the sky here. Like that, not too much. I'm gonna add a little bit of that blue over here too. There. Okay, so now I take a smaller flat brush, get most of the moisture out, and do the partitions for this porch. And like that. There. There. A bit more water, my brush. Remove the moisture and do the same thing over here. There. And there was a horizontal line support here too. Like that. And that porch is done. Just like that. Now I'm going to take my small brush, get some of this gray that's on the palette, and finish off this boat. A little window there. Yeah. Get some of the manganese blue with this gray. There we are. Get some of the cobalt blue and ultramarine. Make a nice dark gray bluish to give a little bit more dimension to this boat. Like that. So now I'm going to get my flat brush, pick up some of this manganese blue and change the color of this water. Or around that boat. There. And while that's drying, I'm going to add a little bit of water here. I'm going to give a reflection from those trees in the distance. Like that. Okay, so now that boat comes alive. It's a little bit of the brown from those trees over here. Like that. With some of the gray and the pinks and the manganese. And I gave some of the reflections of some of the colors there, the darker colors. There we are, like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my flat brown brush and pick up some of the raw sienna mixed with the green that I have in my palette, a little bit more of a aureole and yellow, and come over here and do this bush. Like that. Bring in some of the sea green into that, and come over here and do this shapes of the leaves and like that, and then just areas of color over here in this corner. Not much. Maybe a little bit more of the on the sea green, this time with some Payne's gray, not too much. And that. Just areas of color and some indications of the details of the bush. That's it. Lastly, get my flat brush, get some of those colors, a little bit more of the bronze amber, and I'm going to do a little bit more of the grassy area. Like that. And this little bush in the corner, bring some ultramarine blue with the raw sienna give a little bit more dimension here. And then some grasses. Some grasses over here. Maybe a little bush or something like that, not too much, not just leave it like that. But what I'm going to do is get rose sienna, some of the Payne's gray, and I'm going to darken this area over here. Get a little bit more dimension to these trees in the background, and connect that with this this area. There'll be a shade here. These things will be a little darker green, like that. There we are. And maybe a little bit of darker green here too. A little bit of texture there. And the cottage is done. The tropical cottage by the sea. Take my flat brush and pick up a little bit of the color in this area. Like that. There. And what else? That's about it. I think I'm gonna darken that roof a little bit more. There, that gives it a little better dimension. There. And I'm going to take my small brush, get some of this gray with a little bit of ultramarine blue, and do some of the seagulls that are ever present. Like that. And that's it. I'm going to remove this tape. I'm going to put this on a darker board. And so you will be able to appreciate a little bit more. Remove this lower tape. And the upper portion, which is always tough. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. And here comes the dartboard. I'll put this here. And there it is. I'm going to minimize it so you can see. There. The cottage by the Gulf of Mexico in one of Sarasota's islands. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed my painting. And please visit my website at aafinearts.com. There you will see information about my virtual classes and a selection of my paintings and prints. Until next time.